Welcome everyone to Speaker Magazine Live. This is Marquesa Pettway out of New York City, the creator of The Speakerpreneur, which I did several years ago, and a proud Speaker Magazine columnist. And as a speaker, I help entrepreneurs use speaking to grow their business and create a whole signature system around it. Today, I'm interviewing an NSA heavy hitter. Okay, a global diversity professional that everyone knows about. Guys, she does her own events. We're going to get into it. Happens to be a really special friend of mine, and I'm so glad that she's here and that she's going to break down how she has been able to stay relevant and to evolve and just to become even more passionate about her professional speaking business, which, by the way, has been a 22-year journey. Welcome, Carole Copeland Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and happy belated birthday to you, Marquesa. I know this may be rolling later on, but we're actually posting this a couple of days after her 21st birthday again.
That is so correct. Now, Carole, you are in the global diversity space. Tell us a little bit about why did you choose to, go into that space and change the world as a speaker, coach, and all the other things you do?
Well, like many other people, I have evolved. I started off in one place many years ago thinking that I would become a concert vocalist in Europe. And then became a wife and a mother, got an MBA degree, divorced, continued on with business. And now 30 years later, my business is 30 years old this year. And I'm very happy that I'm a 22-year member of NSA. So it's evolution. And it's always realizing that where you are today may be very different from where you're going to be in a couple of years. And so always remembering to reinvent myself. That's your word. That's the way that you branded yourself. But knowing how I can fit into a moving society and offer the kind of service to my clients on a regular basis. That's who I am, and that's what I do as a global diversity professional.
Now, a big part of your magic, Carole, is that you are well known and you have a lot of connections with a lot of different companies, especially around global diversity, so much so that you've created your own multicultural events. I remember speaking at one of your events.
That's right. Yes.
And guys, she has major sponsors like Amtrak, all these different companies that sponsor your conferences. Tell us a little bit about how did that come about? How were you able to, have conferences around it every year?
Again, looking at the moving target, the business life cycle of my company, I really look at myself as a social entrepreneur. So I'm a business person, and I'm very clear on that. I don't confuse myself with wonderful organizations that are nonprofit. I've always been a for-profit business. But with that said, there's always been the element of community in me, my background, who I am, the kind of organizations I get involved in. So it's that intersection of business and community that really positions me as an entrepreneur and obviously as a social entrepreneur. So having been in the business for many years, in 2008, there came an opportunity for me to start what is now known as the Multicultural Symposium Series. And it's a face-to-face, online, and on the air initiative that advances the cause of multiculturalism. So the purpose of it is to get people together, have an opportunity for people to collaborate with each other, both at my live events and also on the air. So we have a separate website, mssconnect.com. There's a membership component of that particular website. And so our activities are actually generated from there. We just hosted a couple of months ago our 10th Multicultural Conference that we do have now every year. We had two conferences in 2008 and 2009, one conference in 2008 and two conferences in 2009. That's why we're at our 10th conference. And again, that's a collection of business leaders and individuals who are advocates for diversity and inclusion, HR professionals as well, and a collection of people who dig deep and deep dive into the topic of diversity. We have keynote speakers, roundtable discussions, etc., in November on the campus of the University of Massachusetts in Boston. Then in the winter or so, we are now preparing, again, when we're doing this recording, we're preparing for my 24th Empowerment Breakfast. And the theme now is all around Black history. So we used to have it in February, but then the weather got so crazy that we had to move it to March. And so March 16th is the date of our 24th Black History Breakfast. Always there's a theme. This year's theme deals with civil rights, social justice, and the Black church. I have a keynote speaker, Reverend Dr. Marjorie Jones, who is a professor emerita from Lesley University. And then we'll be honoring several people, primarily from the greater Boston area, who have had an impact in the community from one of those topics, social justice, civil rights, or the Black church. It's going to be a very exciting time. And as you said, Marquesa, a lot of this is driven by our sponsors. So I couldn't do 2 events a year if I didn't have sponsors. So I have People's United Bank, that's a regional bank here in the greater Boston area, sponsoring the event. I just brought on board the Boston Red Sox. Wow. And they are one of my sponsors now. I'm very happy about that. And a host of other large companies, small organizations that believe in what we're doing, and they're the driving force, the financial driving force of why these kind of activities can go forward. Again, it's all revolved around my topic, so it's not off topic, but it's a different way to deliver my message. That's the important thing. And so to your listeners, I'd say take your message and see how you can deliver it different ways. You don't always have to stand up at a podium as a keynote presenter. That's great. But what are the other ways that you can deliver your message where it can be replicated and impactful for your audiences for years to come?
Oh, I love that. And Carole, you shared so much there, but what also stuck out is sponsorships is a big part, a big strategy in your business. So is being able to share your message in different ways, which is a great point you made. So I love that you have multiculturalism on air, you have it in person, you have a membership site, but a third one that you've done very well that I want folks to hear is using technology. I mean, look at that fancy microphone right there. And I mean, the past year, Carole, you get on your Facebook Live and you just talk, and clearly you have built your audience, you've gotten speaking gigs off of it. So how have you really leveraged technology, maybe Facebook Live, to kind of take your brand to the next level?
I want to thank you, Marquesa. You've been a real advocate for what I'm doing in terms of Blog Talk Radio. I've been on that platform for several years because of you and the other ways that you've encouraged not only me, but others. So I believe now, in order to be relevant and appreciated by a wide variety of people, you really have to take your message online. You've got to learn the technology. You have to perfect it. I have a strong presence on Facebook and have for a number of years, probably followed by LinkedIn. And I'm really learning how to hone my craft with LinkedIn as we speak, and also Twitter. So I use those 3 platforms primarily to get my message across, followed by YouTube. I am busy trying to build up my audience with YouTube. But case in point, I just attended the National Women's March in Washington, D.C. You were doing the same thing in New York. It was fabulous. We probably had close to 1 million people in Washington. Around the March area, there was no internet access. They blocked all that off. So I had to get closer to Union Station in order to get a signal. I then took out my smartphone, and this particular phone, I'll pull it out right here, took out this phone and shot a quick 2-minute video. Did Facebook Live, but then posted a second video on my Facebook page, and I'm shocked that now over 1,000 people have actually watched that video. So it doesn't take rocket science. You can do it very simply with your smartphone. I have a DSL camera, so I did some other shooting as well, but it's very, very easy to get your message across. People want to relate to you, and so if their platform is Instagram, then you got to figure out a way where your message can get across to Instagram. For me, a lot of my audience and people hire me because they see what I'm doing on Facebook. So I'm very transparent. So they may see my daughter and grandchildren attending the Women's March in Hartford, which they did. And then they'll see me in Washington, but then they'll also see the kind of things that I'm doing here in Boston, moderating panels, speaking, etc. on Facebook. And then I replicate it on LinkedIn, modify my message there, and then do similar things on Twitter. So I particularly like those three platforms along with YouTube, trying to learn as much as I can, but always posting on my website, because this is something your audience needs to know. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter are free platforms, so they could go away anytime. So you want to make sure that your main message is on your website or your websites. That's where you want to drive traffic. So that's the goal. That's what I try to do, is for my events coming up, whether it's the conference or the breakfast or whatever else I'm doing, ultimately those platforms serve as a launching pad to drive people back to my website or websites.
I tell you, you are a powerhouse, and I just love every time I talk to you, and I'm glad that Speaker Magazine and fellow NSA speakers can benefit from your knowledge. How can they find you, Carole?
Two ways. You can reach me at these two websites, CaroleCopelandThomas.com. That's my name, Carole, CopelandThomas.com. That's principally my speaking and training website. And then the Multicultural Symposium website is MSSConnect.com, mssconnect.com. My email address is Carole, Carole, at mssconnect.com.
And I'm going to tell you guys, she is one of the most giving people in the NSA circles.
Thank you.
So if you want to pick her brain, just send her an email and she'll do it. And she's also a wonderful partner, leadership partner with Black NSA. I want to put that out there as well. Thank you so much, Carole.
Thank you, Marquesa.
Speaker Magazine, as well as on speakermagazine.com. See you guys next time.
Okay. Bye-bye.